はい。で、今回は、上谷先生が来てくれているということで、ものすごく簡単に僕の方からライブで何やったかを紹介して、で、ブレインテクノロジー、ブレインデコーディングテクノロジーについて喋っていただこうかと思います。
Bueno, en esta ocasión ha venido el profesor Kamitani, con lo cual yo voy a hacer una presentación muy breve y él nos hablará de la tecnología de brain decoding.
で、ライブでやったのは大きく分けて2つのパートがあって、で1つは、ブレインデータを使った、スキャンデータを使ってビジュアリゼーションで、これはそのビジュアリゼーションのシーンで僕の脳の、スキャンデータを使ってビジュアルを作ったシーンです。
En el directo hubo dos partes. La primera fue la visualización de datos cerebrales. Estos son los datos de mi cerebro.
で、この今聞こえている音っていうのは、実際に MRI の中で聞くことができる音を使って、曲を作ってます。
Este sonido que oyen es un sonido que se puede llegar a escuchar dentro de un equipo de resonancia magnética. Y esto se ha convertido en música.
で、何曲かこのような、ビジュアリゼーションの、これはちょっと本番では流してないものですけれども、いくつかビジュアリゼーションをしたものをライブでは、紹介しました。
En el directo se presentaron varios ejemplos de visualización, no estos en concreto, pero muy parecidos.
で、ビジュアリゼーションっていうのは、今までも僕がやってきた、ことなんですけど、今回は、上谷さんに、手伝ってもらってというか、上谷さんの研究を、使って、音と映像の関係を、読み解くようなことをやりました。
Esta parte de la visualización es algo que ya se hacía, pero en este caso, junto con el profesor Kamitani, lo que hemos hecho es la reconstrucción de estos datos, el sonido y la imagen.
で、それがどういうことかというと、音楽を聴いたとき、音を聞いたときに、頭の中で、どういうイメージをしているか、そのイメージしたものを上谷さんの研究を使って、表に出すようなことを、やりました。
Se trata de, mediante la tecnología del profesor Kamitani, extraer la imagen que nos viene a la mente cuando escuchamos una música o un sonido.
で、僕が上谷先生の研究をして訪れたのは2014年で、これはその時初めてお会いした時の写真ですけど、この時からそういうブレインデコーディングの技術に、興味を持ってたんですけど、今年初めて、作品を作ることができました。
Esta foto corresponde al año 2014, la primera vez que conocí al profesor Kamitani y que me explicó su tecnología del brain decoding. El año pasado, por fin, conseguimos hacer una obra en base a esta tecnología.
はい、で、もう早速ですけど、これは僕が中に入った時のこの時はちょっと半分写真のためにやってますけど、この後実際にデータを取らせていただいたりってこともやりました。
Esta es una imagen de mí mismo dentro del equipo de resonancia magnética, que bueno, estoy posando, pero más adelante sí que realizamos la extracción de datos.
そうですね。で、もう早速ですけど、上谷さんに、パスをして、今回どのようなことを行ったかということと、その背景にある研究についてお話をしていただこうかと思います。
A continuación, cedo la palabra al profesor Kamitani para que nos explique en qué consiste la tecnología y qué proceso llevamos a cabo.
はい。じゃあ、change the... Yeah.
Okay. Good afternoon. I'm Yukiuasu Kamitani. Just call me Yuki. Okay. So I'm going to give a quick lecture on brain decoding and reconstruction of imagery from the brain. Okay.
These are the frontal lobes.
I'm showing the brain, actual brain. So can you tell which animal is this? Yeah.
These are the axons.
actually, this is a sheep's brain. Okay. And did you learn at school what the brain consists of? Okay. So it's neurons. Okay. So here I'm showing the neural fibers imaged by electron microscopy. And in the brain and in neuron, electrical signal propagates through this electrical fiber. Okay? And you can pick the electrical signal by sticking electrode inside the brain. And can you hear this? Yeah. So what you are hearing is the sound of the neuron. Okay, electric signal is turned to sound through speaker, and actually, electrode is inserted in the animal's brain, and this image is what the animal is seeing. Okay, this is a visual image the animal is looking at, and this is video from a historical study by Huber and Wieser, who won the Nobel Prize for the discovery of orientation-selective neurons. Orientation means the angle of this line. Okay, so this neuron is activated, makes sound when particular orientation, the line's orientation is presented at a particular part of the visual field. Okay, so this is really big discovery in neuroscience because this is the first demonstration that the brain actually extracts visual features. Okay, and in later studies, people found that in other areas, more and more complex features are extracted in the brain. Okay, and so in modern neuroscience brain study, we regard brain signals as coding or codes, which represents perception or other mental states. Okay, so we think as if the brain signals are binary signals in computer representing audio, visual or text. Okay, that's how we think, and we are particularly interested in decoding. Okay, so decoding means that given this brain signal, we want to know. Oh, the cursor is not shown. Okay, so given the brain signal, we want to know what's in mind. Okay, so that's decoding. And here I'm showing our early attempt of decoding of finger movement. So here, a subject, human participant, is in brain scanner called MRI, as Daito shown. So the subject is doing rock, paper, scissors movement. Now, paper, paper, paper. Okay, and the task is to decode the finger movement from the brain activity pattern so that this robot can mimic the hand movement. So it changed to scissors, but the robot, now robot realized it's changed to scissors. Okay, so it takes some time. It takes a few seconds because the MRI signal takes some time, to pick up electrical signal. So this is because MRI images are not a direct reflection of electrical signals, rather some secondary response. Okay, so the task of decoding here, more specifically, is to tell whether this person is doing or thinking of rock, paper, or scissors, just by looking at this brain image. Okay, can anyone tell which this person is thinking about? Okay, so it's not that thinking about scissors causes brain activity looking like the shape of scissors. Okay, that's not what's happening. Okay, because what's coded and what's coding does not need to be similar, in that shape. Okay, so in computer, the movies and the binary signals are very different, right? So the answer is scissors here, okay? But it's hard to tell. And I show 4 examples for each finger shapes. And I think it's very difficult to distinguish these patterns. But there are some commonalities within each groups. Okay, that's why we were able to decode. But it's hard to tell from our naked eyes. Okay, so then I thought, let's let the machine learn to do pattern recognition of brain signals, which cannot be distinguished by our naked eyes. That's our idea. And in 2005, we presented the first machine learning-based decoding study. Okay. So in this study, again, we looked at this oriented grading, so like Huber-Wieser. And in the middle, we have a decoder. This is the machine learning part. So this is a mathematical model whose parameter is adjusted using training data. Okay, so we need some data from experiment to adjust the parameters in this decoder. But once it's trained, we can analyze new data to make predictions, which turns out to be very accurate in predicting which angle the grading is presented. Okay. And this means that you can decode stimulus, image orientation or image angle. But this does not necessarily mean that the brain is encoding physical things. Okay? So this brain may be representing mental states, perceptual states. Okay? So we can, the top part showing the decoder trained with stimulus, physical image, induced brain activity. And this exact same decoder can generalize to decode what's in mind. Okay? At the bottom part, this person, this subject, is just imagining right-tilted grading. And from that brain activity, we can accurately decode, whether the orientation is left-tilted or right-tilted.
Okay.
Okay. So the brain data, brain signals encode both, physical and perceptual experience. Okay. So that what we call neural mind reading. Okay. Is it clear? Okay. And let me go back to some basic biology of the brain. Okay. So we are interested in vision, and visual information comes from the eyes. Okay. And interestingly, the visual information goes to the back of the brain first. Okay. And the entrance part is this, V1. So this V1 means primary, first visual cortex. And then it relates to, forward, V2, V4, IT. Okay. So, and it undergoes some hierarchical processing. And at V1, we can see orientation, edge, selective neurons. But as you go up higher, neurons in those higher areas tend to be, activated by more complex shapes. And at this IT part, you can find many neurons which selectively responded and activated by human faces, for instance. Okay, so this is human brain biology. Okay, and now we have a good model of human, visual cortical hierarchy, which is a deep neural network, which is often used in AI for computer vision, and more specifically, this convolutional neural network. This architecture is inspired by the study of Huber-Wieser and others. Okay, so once architecture is fixed, having many parameters. Okay, so those parameters were adjusted using big data, using millions of images. Then, this left network can do task of object recognition. Okay, so the input is image, and the output is a word representing the content. In this case, the output is supposed to be in a chimpanzee, right? And this performs really well, and even at the human level, performance. Okay, and so we have here, each circle represents the artificial neuron in neural network. And if you look at to what kind of image feature each neuron is responding, we can see these pictures in the right. So CNN1 is the earliest layer, and CNN8 is the highest layer, and these what we call preferred images becomes more and more complex and more global, okay, as you go up higher, which is qualitatively similar to human brain response properties. Okay. And then we took a further step to look at more quantitative relationship. Okay. Here, at the left, we have human brain responding to some image. Okay. And in the middle, we have DNN's response, which is induced by the same image. Okay. We give the same image to the brain and the DNN. And we found that we can predict how DNN respond by just looking at the brain activity pattern. Okay? So we can translate human brain activity to AI's signal. Okay? Again, using machine learning. So what's nice here is that, so once it's translated into the language of DNN, DNN is just a mathematical or computational model. We can calculate, okay, without doing experiment. So we can do a lot of interesting computation using the translated brain signal in DNN. Okay, and this is actually the basis for the image reconstruction used in the life of Daito. And so again, we have fMRI signals induced by some image or just by imagining. Okay? And this is translated into DNN's signals. Here, I'm calling decoded features. Okay? And what we want to do is to make an image which is a reconstruction of what we are seeing. Okay? We want to read the mind, perception from the brain as an image. Okay. Okay. But what's predicted from the brain is those features. Okay. And we want to know what kind of image input give rise to those predicted DNN features. Okay. So that's a inverse program. Okay. So it's difficult to get a single formula, mathematical formula. So right now we are doing optimization of images, which means that we start from some random image and then calculate the DNN features and compare with brain decoded DNN features. And we try to minimize that difference by changing the value of individual pixels in the input. Okay, that's how we get the reconstruction. Okay, and additionally, we use deep generator network at the left, which is so-called GAN. GAN is, I think, used in many exhibitions. But so the role of GAN here is not so big. So we just we just use it to make the image a little bit smoother. Okay. And now I'm going to show a video. Okay, left is a perceived image, presented image. And the right, now I'm showing the initial random image. Okay. So this this right image is optimized so that it gives rise to similar DNA activity patterns to the brain decoded ones. Okay. So, can you see? So, actually, this does not lead to exact copy, but still you can see something similar, right? And you can feel something, some texture or some feel of that object, even though it's not the exact copy in the pixel space. Okay. So actually, I posted this movie on YouTube, and many people got interested in. And actually, one of them was Pierre Huyghe, conceptual artist, and we had the exhibition using this image. And so this is final images. And so although not the exact copy, but it has eyes and some characteristic shapes. And here, if you overlap these images, they are not that similar in pixel space, but you can still feel something like water and a bird or something like that. Okay, this is because we are translating the intermediate features. Okay, so in the brain and DNN, the earliest layer corresponds to pixel-like representation, and as you go up higher, we see some intermediate features, which represent some texture and the material like properties. Okay, so even if our method, our algorithm fails to detect pixel-wise information, maybe some higher level or mid-level features can be recovered. That may be contributing this perceptual quality. Okay, and this looks really spooky, animal, obscure animal. Okay, and so this is not good at all as reconstruction, but perceptually it's interesting, right? Maybe this right image, give us, the right image causes brain activity, which is partly similar to the brain activity caused by the left original image, but but only partly, right? That makes us feel something very interesting. Okay. And so you can use the exact same model to reconstruct these basic shapes. Okay. And so we can reconstruct colors in these abstract shapes to some extent, but not that great. Okay. And here is reconstruction of these texture shapes. Okay, so this works well too. So initially we mainly used animals or some object in the middle of the screen, but this texture image can be reconstructed to some extent. Okay, and here is here's reconstruction of mental imagery. Okay, so this is. We have been working on this for a long time, over 10 years, but we are not successful. But finally, we are beginning to see internal mental imagery. Okay, so we can decode what you're thinking about in terms of the object category. Okay, we can decode even dream contents in terms of what kind of objects are experienced. But it's been really hard to make an image from the brain activity during internal imagery. But we are beginning to see something here. Okay, so in the left, I'm showing the simple shape. This was presented prior to the experiment, and we asked the subject to remember this shape and imagine that in the scanner. Okay. So this image is not shown during the experiment. And so I'm showing the reconstruction in the right. So can you see cross? Maybe you may need to use your mind's eye. Okay. So I think you can see this. Okay. So okay, this is really, rudimentary and primitive, but this is, just from 0 to 1. Okay, we're just beginning to see something. Okay, here I'm showing the frame-by-frame reconstruction, and towards the end, I think you can distinguish these different shapes. Okay. So yeah, this is the basis of image reconstruction. So we're interested in reconstructing perception and then imagery. Okay. And so what we, Daito and I were interested in this, dissonant imagery was the interaction between vision and audition. Okay. So as I said, visual area of the brain is at the bottom, at the back of the head. This green part at the bottom, at the right, okay, and the auditory cortex in the middle, the purple part, okay. That's a little bit separated, but they are in the same brain and actually communicating via neurons and the spikes, okay. And there are many pieces of evidence showing that there's, almost automatic interaction between vision and audition. And I'd like to introduce one example. This is an illusion I found a long time ago. Okay, so let me see. Okay. So I'm showing rabbit image 3 times per each. Okay, but it's accompanied by different number of beep sounds. So, and do you see something different? So I think with many beeps, you see more flashes. Okay. So this is almost automatic audio-visual, interaction. Okay, I'll turn off the image. So without sound, they, look always the same. Okay, just by having sound, the way we see, the light changes. Okay. So yeah, there are many other examples which shows the audio-visual interaction. And this is the same picture as before. What we changed was this. Instead of showing image, we presented sound, while keeping the all model or decoders are same. Okay. So here we look at visual cortex. Okay. And we are interested in visual cortical activity induced by sound, okay? And we get some reconstruction, okay? This can be some automatic response, but also, listening some music or something, you spontaneously imagine some concrete scenes, okay? So yeah, both are mixed, I think. And this is, example. So depending on what you hear, the reconstruction from the brain's visual part is different. Okay, so scientifically it's hard to evaluate what this means, but at least we see some difference. Okay, that may be caused by some automatic process or caused by some voluntary visual imagination. Okay, so. Okay, that's basically it, and this is just final thoughts about art and the brain. Okay, Desmond Morris, he's a biologist and also painter. And I recently read his book, and he wrote something like, art is to create something extraordinary or unusual experience from ordinary things. Okay? And to rephrase this, I think we can say something like artwork activates the brain in some extraordinary or unusual ways. And I think we can say also that neuroscience, or brain technology can provide tools to activate the brain in unusual, extraordinary ways. Okay? So in image reconstruction, we can create image which stimulate the brain, a particular part of the brain at a particular pattern, okay, while other parts are irrelevant. Okay, so that creates a very weird, new, unusual experience, and also we can think of stimulating the brain directly. That would be a next generation artwork. Actually, a couple of days ago, Elon Musk announced the new development of brain-machine interface device, which minimally invasive. So you need to make a hole in the skull, in a tiny skull, but from that you can implant tiny electrodes very efficiently. So he says it's like LASIK. Okay, so you can get the brain implant surgery as if you take the surgery of LASIK, okay, or a dental implant or something. So the brain technology is advancing very quickly, and so I think that has a huge potential to change how you create art or how you enjoy the art. Okay.
Yeah.
So that's all from myself.
Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah, so I want to ask one question. So, so now current situation, so if using brain decoding technology, it's kind of still, we need to go to the fMRI and spend about 10, 20 hours to get
we need a lot of data, yeah.
But do you think it is going to be wearable or implant very soon?
Yeah, so the advantage of brain scanning is that we can record from the whole brain. Okay.
Yeah.
So if it's implant, you have to limit the region.
Yeah.
So if you're interested in vision, I still recommend brain scans. So, but if you're just interested in finger movement or typing or something, maybe tiny brain area have sufficient information to decode. So, but I don't know. In the future, there may be more advanced brain implants that through the tiny hole you can micro robot can propagate all over the cortex, which allows us to whole brain recording with minimally invasive surgery.
Wow.
Yeah.
So maybe my next project is implant some tips in the brain. Yeah, but thank you very much for this collaboration and a great talk. Thank you very much.
Thank you.
Yeah. ありがとうございました。Thank you.
Okay, thank you.
You got a nerve.